This is On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. A weekly recap of your Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Han & Stone Spa, Pat Dion Beverages, The Capitol Grill, Chickies and Pete's, Payroll Service Solutions, and Independence Blue Cross. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, former Flyer Brad Marsh and Paul Jolovitz.
And welcome everybody to Chickies and Pete's here in beautiful Audubon, Pennsylvania on a crisp Wednesday afternoon. This is On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, where we took a look at the Flyers, who are in the All-Star break now. They come back next Tuesday against the Florida Panthers. We got an alumni game and an alumni weekend, a Hall of Fame weekend to recap, and much, much more with our co-host, the head of the Flyers alumni, who deserves a large helping of credit for doing the whole thing last weekend. A great job to Mr. Brad Marsh. How are you, buddy?
Very good. Thank you very much. Yes, it was a great weekend, and I was involved in it, obviously, but there was a lot of people pulling on the rope and making sure that the event went off tickety-boo, and it was a great 3 days, lots of stories, lots of lies, and lots of laughs.
We're going to talk about a lot of those stories during the show, but there's one thing, I have a phrase I've used many times before. This may be a tough time to look at it, but nobody ever does anything in life without something going wrong. Did any tiny little thing, no matter how small, go wrong last weekend? Somebody forgot this, that, the other, whatever?
Well, the Flyers didn't win on Saturday.
True.
Because we actually had a Warrior game prior to the alumni game where the Flyers Warriors played against the Bruins Warriors. And we brought them down from Boston. So they won 6-2. We won 6-2. And the Flyers lost 6-2.
Yeah, 6-2 weekend.
So, no, it was a wonderful weekend. And I really can't think of any hiccups that went wrong. Everything went tickety-boo. And everyone had a great time. Well,
13,000 and change fans saw it Friday night. It was tremendous. I was there and really enjoyed seeing the heroes, as many of the Broad Street Bullies were there and others. And one guy who's covered hockey right on through in Philadelphia is our guest tonight. Started covering hockey in 1498, Christopher Columbus's first year in the NHL. He is the longtime Flyers beat writer, now the writer for Allentown Morning Call. He has a website called flyingfishhockey.com. He does a lot of different things, a man for all seasons. From Bucks County, we welcome Wayne Fish. Wayne, how are you?
Excellent.
Wayne, what was your first year covering the team?
1976.
Wow.
1976.
So this is
you missed the cup years, huh?
Well, we had the lockout year, but I mean it's 48 seasons. I guess if you count the lockout season as a season.
All right,
well, you wrote an article during the lockout season.
Yeah.
Well, then it qualifies. You worked during the lockout
we still
season.
talked to players and said, "What are you doing with your time off?"
Man, that lockout season just seems like so long ago,
forever.
doesn't it? And,
yes, it does.
And really, when you think about it, the game, the salaries, and the game, the rule changes, it really has improved a heck of a lot.
It does, and you know, you brought to mind with the alumni weekend. It brought back a lot of memories because a lot of those guys broke into the team or broke into the sport with the Flyers around the same time that I started. I mean, full time, I had been covering some games prior to that, like with the Cup teams. But when I took over full time, some of those guys were just getting started themselves. So to see them, playing in the game and then in the locker room afterward, the morning skate brought back a lot of memories and a lot of good feelings about that team.
Excellent.
All right, 48 years. Let's get right to it. Number one Flyers memory is?
Oh, it would have to be winning the Cup the first time, obviously. Because
that was 74.
Oh, okay. Well, then I would say Game 6, rather, of the 1987 finals. J.J. Daigneault and Brian Propp scoring the tying goal, which when they were down, so it wasn't like they had been caught and then J.J. scored. It was they caught the Oilers and then they scored.
We were down 3-1 in the series and
right.
down 3-1 in the game. And, man, when J.J. scored, wow.
That building almost,
they say now,
almost the roof, to put it in terms, almost like the roof blew off the place.
Well, I heard that it was the loudest the building ever was because they have I don't know what the official name is. Like, so when the concerts come in, they can tell them to turn down the woofers and the tweeters and all that.
Decibel
meters,
So
yeah.
even when AC/DC's in there and all that, the building, the spontaneous roar was louder than any concert.
Yeah, it was pretty loud. I was at that game. It was incredible. Brad Marsh and Wayne Fish are both masters of the segue, and you segued inadvertently into my next question, Wayne. Brian Propp, you talked about. You love that game so much, you wrote a book about him. You wrote a book about Chris Therien, Road to Redemption. Came out last year, is doing well. Wrote a book about Brian Propp coming out this year. Tell us about it.
The title is Angel on My Wing, and as a lot of followers of the Flyers know, Brian suffered a major stroke on September 3rd, 2015, while on a trip to actually was sending his son to college and looking at colleges. And he suffered this stroke in Annapolis. There was thought that he might not make it for a while there. It was touch and go. But eventually he, about 5 or 6 days of hospital stay and then moving to a rehab, to McGee Rehab in Philadelphia. It's taken him it took him over 3 years just to get back his speech and some of the functionality in his right side. The story is inspirational because he was not going to give up, and the quote that we used prominently was the fact that it wasn't his time to go yet, and we asked him why, and he said, because I haven't talked to my grandchildren yet, meaning that even though they haven't been born, that someday he wants to be able to relate to his grandchildren. So everybody knows that Brian was beloved, the guffaw and the great stuff that he did for the Flyers over the years. And this is about the fact that now he is not only recovered, but he is also helping others who have stroke survivors and working with organizations like Bancroft, which helps them out. And it's sort of paying back the fact that everybody helped him, and now he's helping others. And so that's the inspirational part of the book.
Well, being a stroke survivor myself, I've talked to Brian about it many times, and it's an amazing thing. It's called Angel on My Wing. It's coming out in October.
Yes, it'll be. It's Triumph Books. You'll be able to get it online, and you can get it from your favorite bookstores like Barnes and Noble.
Okay.
There's other places. I mean, if you just type in the title, I'm sure there are probably 3 or 4 other places where you can pick it up.
Well, I've read a book just last weekend called Marsh on My Defense, not quite Angel on My Wing. At the game Friday night, Brad, I was looking specifically at number 8, seeing how the old guy moved. You still got some wheels on you, huh?
Well, if you would have seen me Saturday morning, you wouldn't have thought that. But no, it's as I've said many times, or all the time, it's fun to be with the guys. It's fun to be in the locker room, and you know, Wayne, you were down in the dressing room, and just the atmosphere in the room after the game, even before the game, for heaven's sakes. It was just fun and jovial, and we dressed in the big room, and to see the guys walk around, they were all sitting in the sauna after the game. Like, we had no sauna when we played, for heaven's sake.
Hold on a second. You said, I read something where you said last weekend that it was a big deal for you to use the Flyers locker room as opposed to the third or fourth, visitors, NBA, visitors, NHL. Why was that?
Well, I think you probably read it in Wayne's article, because you asked me that specific question, and you asked me, what is the difference? And, there's the obvious difference from the new regime to the old regime, and they've been told, they've been said, and we don't need to get into them. But, I just said, look around. Like, we had guys that have played in the last couple games when we got dressed down the hallway, and one of them came in and turned left down the hallway and go, hey, yo, we're in the big room.
We're in the big room.
Yeah, and they said, oh, my goodness, things really have changed. But it's a simple thing that we are really a part of the organization, and we are. And like a simple little thing to tie your skates up in the dressing room, in the new dressing room, Wayne, you've seen they have all the Hall of Fame plaques around.
They did a great job with that.
Beautiful job.
And so to sit there and to see the Clarks and the Barbers, and now Recky's looking down at you, it's pretty cool.
Wayne, you covered this team forever, and I've covered this team for a pretty long time, not quite as long as you, but there's a saying in the Flyer locker room, the new locker room, the old one, it's beautiful. You play for the emblem on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. I might be missing a word here or there, but what does that mean to you?
It means that you put team first, and that you make when the sacrifices that you make are not for yourself; they're for your teammates, the guy next to you, the guy across the room. And I want to just add to that this all started, I believe, when Fred Shiro wrote the day before Game 6 of the 1974 Finals, "Win today and we walk together forever."
Yep.
And now there are the guys from that team that are like that, but that feeling, that spirit permeates all the generations forward, including Brad's great run, the guys that played with Brad in the 80s, the Lindros years in the 90s, and right on into this century. That feeling still permeates the organization, the system, and there's a lot to be said for that. That it's a feeling, a esprit de corps, a camaraderie that you don't always get in a lot of hockey teams or a lot of sports teams. And here you could feel it the other day that may have gone a little bit when Ed Snyder passed away.
Family.
In 2000. Yes, family. That's what I'm going to get to. That in 2016, that feeling kind of went away a little bit, and now it's coming back, and that sense of all for one and one for all is back to my way of thinking.
Well, there's an elephant in the room with the Flyers now, and we'll get to that in a minute, and it's kind of obvious who it is. But the elephant in the room last weekend, Brad, was Mr. Snyder, who wasn't able to be there. Obviously passed away. Keith Allen, same thing. Obviously some coaches weren't there, but Bobby Clark, Bernie Perrant, most of the living bullies were there. What was it like to celebrate this, but unfortunately nothing to do about it, not have Mr. Snyder with you?
Well, you're right. There is nothing that we can do about it, but it was a celebration that needed to be had, and there was quite a few of the guys not there, obviously. But they were talked about throughout the whole weekend. They were remembered throughout the whole weekend. We had an unbelievable program done up, and there was a nice section in there about all the players, all the trainers, the scouts, and Mr. Snyder, obviously, that have passed away but contributed to the Stanley Cup. And so it was a wonderful weekend. We started Thursday, and it was just fun to see them walk into the Broad Street Bullies pub in Xfinity Live there, a fitting place to have our first little reception, and it was just alumni only. And to see them walk in, and we always, when we have an event such as that, we always bring the wives back as well. And so, like, some of the wives hadn't seen each other in 15, 20, 25 years. And to see them come in and laugh and pick up right where they left off when they retired or were traded away or whatever. We had the Stanley Cup there, and some of the pictures of them posing around the Stanley Cup were priceless. And so it was a cool event.
And let me just add that. One other thing I wanted to say about that locker room on the morning skate on Friday is, with all the smiling people and friends and media and everybody in there, and they were the center of attention, they were like kids in a candy store.
Yeah.
They were lit up, and it's hard to get those guys. Sometimes some of those guys, as you know, can be stone-faced, but I couldn't find one guy that wasn't having a good time.
Well, that leads to my next question I was going to ask, and you've been a reporter for a long time. Just the facts, ma'am. You don't play favorites. You play it down the middle. But you're also a human being with blood running through your veins. And there had to be one guy who you looked forward to seeing and saw and were glad about it a little more than anybody else. Was there, if I'm assuming correctly?
Yeah, Jimmy Watson, and I'll tell you why. Because when he was here, I didn't usually ask about what they did off the job. But for some reason, and I don't know how it clicked, we started talking about books. And the next thing you know, I found out that he was an avid reader. Now, I'm not saying that other players aren't avid readers. But I'm just saying that we had guys like Leon Uris, who's a famous author. He's done a whole bunch of great books. And at the time, he was reading one of Leon Uris's books, and I was reading another one. And before you know it, we were comparing notes. And so that little barrier that's usually there, that when you walk up to somebody, you're not sure what you're going to get that day. Maybe they had a bad game or a rough practice, or they had trouble off the job or something. Every time I walked up to Jimmy, we got right into it about books. I wish I had that sort of camaraderie with other players, but I don't, like you said, I don't go looking for it, but it just came up in natural conversation.
That's great stuff. Brad, anything else you want to say about Alumni Weekend? We can talk about it more, but it just came off so well. All the fans that I was up in the press box, but media people were acting like fans because when you were younger, you were a hockey fan. I mentioned anything go wrong. let's bookend that with what went the most right. What was the one memory that will stick in Brad Marsh's brain out of Alumni Weekend above all?
Well, I think I mentioned the Thursday night. Well, like I can go day by day. The Thursday night was awesome. And the Friday night, the whole just getting ready for the game, the morning skate, getting ready for the game.
You had a morning skate?
Oh yeah. Well, we even ordered the old time sweatsuits for everybody to wear. And what was neat too is we had lots of merch for the guys that come up. They all got a nice Flyers jacket and so on. And but as a special tribute to Freddie Shiro. For those of you that saw it in old-time pictures, he always had that orange jacket on when he coached with the tie. I had specially made up the Fred Shiro jacket, and just the guys in the Stanley Cup got them. And so they got a team picture in the Fred Shiro jacket, and it has the famous quote embroidered on the back of it. So it's really cool. But, you can just go day by day or almost hour by hour, and then for the game was special, the presentation, having the guys introduced, and then God Bless America was sang by
Fabulous.
Lauren Hart, and there was only 4 or 5 people knew that it was going to happen, and so it was pretty cool to see the reaction of the players when Lauren started belting it out.
I wondered if you were going to bring in Kate with that. That was my little thought process up in the box.
No, it's Lauren's song to sing moving forward, and obviously I don't know how many times they're going to use it, but it was fitting to use it for the alumni game. And then, even Thursday when it was Mark Recky's day, that was a special day to have because there was really nothing official going on, so we were just sitting down. It was just the guys having a few cocktails and reminiscing and watching the game. The game went to hell in a handbasket real quick, so we just turned to conversation. We really didn't watch the game, and then. At the end, we were in the director's lounge, which used to be Mr. Snyder's area, where he always invited his family and friends, and we were there before the game. And after the game, we were getting real comfortable, and the shuttle was delayed because there was so much traffic and all that. At the end, heck with the shuttle. We're pretty good right here. So the guys were getting right back into it and very comfortable with their surroundings, just telling stories. And so I can't think of one favorite moment. The Hall of Fame weekend was tremendous, and I'll remember that. And now we're looking forward to the next one.
Well done, and hopefully the next one's well done. When we come back, I have a question about one guy that was not there. I don't know why. I don't know if it means something or means nothing, but I'm going to ask Mr. Marsh and Mr. Fish why somebody wasn't there. Then we'll move on to the current Flyers, who have lost 5 straight. Got to turn around coming out of the break. All-Star Weekend, Travis Konechny in Toronto, representing the Orange and Black. This is the Independence Blue Cross on the ice. From Chickies and Pete's in beautiful Audubon, Pennsylvania. Come on down, say hi to Wayne and Brad. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's, official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Nobody does Flyers and Sixers watch parties better than Chickies and Pete's. Come for the best in-game experience and join the best fans in the world for all the hockey and basketball action. Enjoy all your Chickie and Pete's game day favorites with daily ice-cold draft beer specials and our seasonal cocktails. And of course, the unbeatable combination of Philly sports and Chickies and Pete's world-famous crab fries. It's game time only at Chickies and Pete's.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is a true retreat from the everyday. With locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City, Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags,
all right.
Pennsylvania Fine Wine
is this how
and
loud it's going to be?
Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House,
Can you say something? Can
R&J
someone say
Smoothies
something into
and
it?
Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of
now I
Newtown.
can't
Make
hear him.
Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping.
1, 2, 3.
needs
Oh,
at
that's
South
still-
Oxford Valley
we can
Road
go
and
down a
South
little
Olds
bit.
Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in
right.
2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
And you are listening to On the Ice from here
I'll
at
talk
Chickies
about
and
later.
Pete's in Audubon, Pennsylvania, presented by Independence Blue Cross, right here on 1490 WBCB. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. They didn't play last week. It's the All-Star break. This week it's Sam Urson, who is simply next man up. And you know that situation. We'll talk about it in a minute. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless. Fearless is Joe Watson, guys, who at 80 was the oldest alumni out there. But, Brad, there was somebody missing. And I'm going to blame myself for being an idiot here. I don't know his name, and I should. He's the blonde guy with the white gloves that is always with a Stanley Cup and has been since the beginning of time.
Phil Pritchard.
Right, he's taken out of a freezer, I think, with the cup when it goes to wherever. Where the hell was he?
He's up in Toronto. I talked to him several times. He's still the keeper of the cup, and so all the arrangements that we did with the cup were done through him. And I've known Phil for years and years and years, but he's got a team under him, and Mario came with the cup this time.
Yeah.
He was great. We took the cup to Jimmy Watson's rink on Saturday morning.
Nice.
Because it wasn't doing anything. So we have a wonderful learn-to-play program for kids. Every NHL team does it. It's a brainchild of the NHL and the NHLPA, and it's part of the Industry Growth Fund of growing the game of hockey. So all 32 teams do it, or does it. And so here in Philly, we do it very well. Rob Baer heads up that group, and it's Learn to Play. Kids get free equipment, free skates, free pants, free Flyers jersey. It's wonderful. So it's very, Jimmy Watson has it at his rink.
Ice Works in Aston.
Yeah, and we took the cup there for the kids to see, and it was wonderful.
That is terrific stuff. And everything about that weekend was absolutely tremendous. Flyers going to the All-Star break, losing 5 straight, haven't played well. Torts got to get them back in gear. The rebuild hit a little bit of a bump, but that's going to happen.
Well, the rebuild might be back on.
It could be back. It could be back
there,
on.
we're going onwards and upwards, but now after 5 straight,
Well,
when is the deadline?
In their defense, they did play some pretty darn good teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
listen, guys, there's a 12,000-pound elephant in the room. We're not going to avoid it. We're also not going to delve into it. Obviously, coming back out of the break, Carter Hart's not going to be there. There's going to be a press conference in London, Ontario, and all that stuff on February 5th.
My hometown.
Your hometown,
London,
that's
Ontario.
right. Brad Marsh's hometown. And they're going to be without Carter for a while, maybe the whole year. Who knows what's going to happen. Wayne, not going to ask you anything specific about it, but Sam Erson's going to have to be the goaltender moving forward. They got to treat it like Carter's torn a knee up or something. He's just not going to be there. How do they keep this from ruining the team? So,
first of all, Sam's numbers right now are comparable
Tremendous.
to Carter's. Now, we don't know how much this whole thing affected Carter's play. In other words, if you have that hanging over your head, that obviously is going to affect your performance to some degree.
only if you're human.
Yeah. So one thing I liked about Erson was that he doesn't the moment doesn't compromise his abilities. He can play the best team in the league, and he's not intimidated by that. And so, I mean, for someone that young in his early 20s, that's saying something. I mean, if he was 33 years old, then I would say, yeah, he's been around the block. He knows how to handle these situations. But he's going through this basically for the first time. So his physical skills are obvious. I mean, he's already had, I believe, 2 shutouts or 3?
Yep.
3, I think.
3.
And he is at one point in the shootout, he had stopped, I believe,
14,
all but
15 in a row.
all but two out of 15, I think it was,
Yeah.
at one point. I don't know what it is exactly now. But my point is that he's a cool customer under pressure, and it belies his age. So if you were going to have a situation like this where your number one goalie is out indefinitely, this is the kind of backup goalie that you would like to have at your disposal.
It was kind of 1A, 1 and
Yeah.
1A, because
Yeah.
they weren't much different. And it reminds me a little bit of Pelle Lindbergh.
Yes.
Cool, calm, and collected. If he let a bad goal in, doesn't matter. Some goalies can't recover from a
Right.
bad goal. Doesn't matter. He's there, and he'll make the next save. So we're in good hands with Erson.
All right, Sam Erson, a lot of people thought he's a co-1, as Brad said, a 1A. Kyle Peterson brought up from the minors. Flyers drafted a couple goalies over in Europe. They're not going to play this year. What can we expect from Kyle Peterson? What's expected there, Brad?
Well, we just talked about 1 and 1A. Might be 2.
Yeah.
1 and who knows if he gets some shots and repetition in some good practices, and that I don't know. He has good numbers previously,
Yeah.
but his record in the NHL is not there.
But Erson is a workhorse, and so I don't know exactly how many starts he has to, how many more back-to-backs, for instance. And I can tell you right now, Tortorella is loath to start a goalie in back-to-back games. I mean, after a year and a half, we kind of come to the conclusion that he's not going to start a goalie on Saturday and then start him again on Sunday. So he's going to have to play whatever number of back-to-backs are left. I don't know, is it 7 or 8?
I don't know.
It's somewhere 7 or 8, something like that.
I don't understand that. Why they can't play goalie back-to-back.
You're preaching to the choir there.
We need Martin Brodeur.
I know.
Situation.
I mean, there were years
Played
when
70 games a year.
72 games, I think,
Yeah.
one year, yeah. So, I mean, but that, again, that's going off on a tangent a little bit. What I'm trying to get at is that maybe they won't have to use him, and if he's used sparingly, sometimes guys who haven't played in a week or two are kind of like, I'm going to go out there and show them that I deserve more work. And so they rise to the occasion. And I also think the Flyers play better. Maybe, I don't know exactly how to explain this, but maybe you can explain it better, is that when a second goalie is in there, or a guy that perhaps doesn't have the same numbers, maybe you're trying to block more shots or keep shooters to the angles because they're not sure what he can do back there. And so maybe that's part of it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the old 100% 1-1 for the Gipper angle. They're going to have to do that. Lost 5 straight again coming out. John Tortorella's going to have the entire break to think about it while Travis plays in the All-Star game, which is always a fabulous game to watch, 28-26 in Toronto on Saturday. What does Tortorella, Brad, have to key on? His team's obviously at not rock bottom, but the bottom of their cycle this year. How does he come back and start it going again?
Well, I think the players are fortunate they're on their break now, or they would have faced some pretty cruel and demanding practices from Torch, similar to what they went through in training camp. And some of us older guys were talking about it back in our day when things were going wrong. you hit the ice and you worked it out, and the coach, bag skated you, and so on and so on. And the teams are so busy, there doesn't seem to be a bag skate during the season anymore. And I just think they'll have time to think about and reflect. I don't like using that word because I don't know how much they'll really be thinking about it, but they're away from the rink. And when they come back, they all got to look at themselves, not only in the mirror, but they got to look at each other. And really, what I heard, and you see it all the time, Wayne, this team is different than past Flyers teams. They are close, and so they'll figure it out for themselves.
I think that the fact that they're even after losing 5 in a row, they're still in third place, and they got a little bit of a cushion here.
Still in the playoffs.
That they survived that shows that they're still in a position to get things back on an even keel. And let's not forget they won 5 in a row prior to this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself when I first the other night when we knew they were gonna lose to Boston after it was 4-0 or something. I started doing a little bit of press box research, and I yelled out, "Does anybody remember the last time that they won 5 in a row and lost 5 in a row?" And I'm thinking it's like 2018, and someone yells out, "Last April." And I went, "Holy smokes!" I mean, this is happening before. Now, last year didn't end the way you wanted
It's
it to.
because people are paying attention now, and they weren't back then. That's why it's slipped.
That's why it's a bigger deal.
Yep.
And I think they're getting their hopes up, and legitimately so. But at the same time, it's not like this only happens every 10 years. This happens quite often.
Well, the reason why you didn't remember, nobody remembered last year, nobody wanted to remember anything about last year. No one wanted to remember anything about 2 years previously. But right now, I don't want to say talk of the town, but we're now being talked about in a positive way.
Yeah.
So they are on the edge of their seat waiting to know what the Flyers do in every game.
Moral of the story, live in the present. And we're going to do that. We're going to examine the trade deadline. A couple Flyers got extensions last week, well-deserved. Talk about the road to the Cup. Playoffs, are they in the Flyers' territory? We hope so. Danny Briere gave his presser last week, working hard on the lines, see if they're going to make a deal or not. Wayne Fish is going to talk about that with us. We're going to do plenty here from Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, where this is the Independence Blue Cross on the ice. We're back right after this.
It's Pete from Chickie and Pete's, the official sports bar of your Philadelphia Eagles. Here's a winner, fall football, and Chickies and Pete's mouth-watering snow crab legs. For a limited time, buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday. Enjoy the sweet, delicate flavor of snowy white crab meat dressed in our special blend of seasonings and spices. Pair it with an ice-cold draft beer or one of our signature cocktails. Buy one and get one free snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is the true retreat from the everyday. With locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City, Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
We are back, and it is now time for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. Simple stat tonight. At the All-Star break, rebuilding Flyers record, 25-19-6, good for 56 points as they hopefully bounce back and head towards the playoffs. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week, once again brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering to small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY with Wayne Fish, co-host Brad Marsh. Wayne, great first half for the Flyers, save for the last few games. The biggest surprise in Wayne Fish's mind, the first half of the season, to me, 2 years ago when they traded for a failed first-rounder to Florida, traded Claude Giroux for some nothing named Owen Tippett. That nothing has become really something. Signed an 8-year extension last week. He's my biggest surprise of the first half. Who's yours?
I'd have to say that's high up on my list, simply because that when he came here, people didn't know that much about him. I mean, you know, why would you? You're not playing him in the division, and you know, he's a young guy that was playing on what became a Stanley Cup finalist team. So I don't think, you know, the year before that, I don't think he was an integral part of that team. But since he's gotten here, that goal he scored the other night, where he came down the ice, spinorama, and beat the goalie on the backhand, and then the great part is he comes into the room and it's like, oh shucks, that was nothing, you know what I mean? Like, or I didn't think it was a big deal. I mean, that's what you want. You want that kind of attitude of like, well, wait, you know, sort of like implying that, wait till you see me when I'm really get going here. So the joke was, Briere even made a joke about it when he announced the contract. He said that the player had gotten wind of it maybe a month ago because they were getting close, and he said maybe that's what triggered this 5 goals in 6 games thing. Then we asked the player, and he, of course, he's not one to joke much, but he did acknowledge that, yeah, well, I knew about it, and you know, kind of his voice trailed off a little bit there, and I thought, yeah, he knew, and he's putting on a little bit of his show.
Well, 8 years, $50 million. Ryan Poehling also a 2-year extension as the Flyers start to tie some loose ends up going forward. Who's your biggest surprise, Brad?
Well, I think that would be one of them right there. And, you know, you got to give Chuck Fletcher, I know everyone likes to pile on him, but, you know, he did a heck of a deal there. His hands were tied, as you know, but yeah. Within an NHL organization, they have so many scouts, and there's the junior scouts and college scouts, but one of the ones that I think are the unsung heroes are the pro scouts, and that's headed up by Dave Brown. Mm-hmm. And because there's all kinds of players out there, like Tippett, for whatever reason, they didn't crack the lineup, but 2 years ago or three years prior when they were drafted, they were good hockey players, and for whatever reason they didn't crack the line. There's all kinds of those players. So the pro scouts did their homework. They got Tippett. The pro scouts did their homework when I've already forgotten his name, didn't want to play here. Or I can remember his name, but he'll never be mentioned again.
Cutter.
Yeah, and they got the player. And I remember talking to Homer about it, and they said they remember him from junior, and they went back and looked at all their notes from junior and so on. The pro scouts watched him play. So the pro scouts did their homework, and so other than Tippett, I would say that the big surprise for me, being an old defenseman, has been the play of our defense.
Yeah.
Ivan Provorov traded in the offseason. All of a sudden, the Flyers playing 7D every night. They got a surplus, Brad.
Yeah. Well, Provorov, he should have been traded a long time ago, in my opinion. But our defense is good, and now with the trade deadline coming up, another segue for you there, Jolly. With the trade deadline coming up, we have a number of defense that we could possibly move for a piece.
Well, that's an interesting segue again, because the Flyers made a little trade with the LA Kings in the offseason, got a meaningless throw-in named Sean Walker, probably not going to play a game with the Flyers, except that he has and has played very well. And a lot of people think if the Flyers want to sell, and we'll talk buy or sell in a minute, Wayne, that they can get a first-round draft pick for Sean Walker for a rebuilding team. That's found money, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you make your own call on that one. Each person, I think, has a different opinion. The only two players that aren't signed for next year of note are Sealer, or Nick Sealer.
Who they could deal, obviously.
And Walker. So you look at that two ways. Some GMs would say, I want to get a player that's locked into a bargain contract. Others say, the guy's not signed, but I'm sure I can work out a deal of my own.
But you can also trade him, get whatever back, and then sign him in the offseason if you want to.
Yeah, but how often does that happen?
It should happen more, I think.
I know. Baseball is the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many rentals running around now.
Yep.
But it's difficult with the salary cap versus baseball. You have to look at it in terms of, do you have enough room to re-sign him at a number that is competitive with other teams? And so when you make the first trade, what you're saying is, are you trading him to get rid of some salary, or are you just saying, I think we're close? And the Flyers, like Danny Briere right now said, I'm not making any trades in which I give up X, in other words, meaning prospects or young guys, to acquire a 30. I'm not paraphrasing here, a 33-year-old scorer. And to going back to your original question, who are my surprises aside from Tippett would have to be Forster. Forster is showing me a lot of the same characteristics that Tippett has. He's strong on the puck,
power forward,
great balance, shot, a killer shot, and a tireless a motor that just keeps going. They're basically telling him, get off the ice, get off the ice.
Well, we're talking about this and where Danny Briere is going to go at the deadline. Do you think you have a shot this year? Do you trade assets? Do you trade 4 assets? Where do you go with that? But in the meantime, Brad, John Tortorella is coaching a hockey team. You played with a team in the 80s that sometimes played 4 defensemen an entire game, which is unheard of in hockey these days. Now the Flyers are playing with 7. They have a surplus of defensemen. What's it like playing with 7D? How hard is it to get into a rhythm? Flyers are going to have to trade somebody, obviously, barring an injury. They got a couple people in the minors, but what's it like playing with 4, with 7, or the traditional 6?
It stinks. I never liked it. Sometimes you're in that situation, a forward gets injured, because back in the day we didn't carry extra bodies,
right.
And so if a forward got injured and you went with 7D and type of thing, and it was tough because you want to play as a player. You're sitting on the bench, you want to play as much as possible, and so if you miss a rotation, and then there's a power play, then you get to get back in the rotation again. Because Sealer's, he's not going to be on the power play, and so if he's missing, then all of a sudden when he gets out there, he's stiff and his feet are falling asleep because the skates are tied and all that stuff. And it's tough to stay involved in the game when there's 7D out there.
And you can remember this: if they are still in contention on March 7th, keep this in mind. They've been living on borrowed time here as far as injuries go. Their defense has not suffered any injury of consequence.
You shouldn't have spoken.
Why would? Yeah, I know. But why would you trade away that insurance policy if you know that you may need someone down the road here? And you have to find people. In other words, either you rotate one guy out or keep one guy on the side.
Well, the question, Wayne, is obviously you may need him, you may not. You can call 80 guys up from the minors if you need to, but does Danny Briere, is his theory, you got a month till the deadline. Obviously, the twists and turns can be endless before then. Knowing what you know now, January 31st, All-Star break, 5 weeks to the deadline, are you thinking buy, sell, or cherry pick and see the opportunities that you have both ways?
I think that it comes down to what you're getting back is the most important thing, not what you're getting, not what you're giving up.
Exactly.
It's what
you're trading for, you're not trading.
What you're getting back. And again, that goes back to the standings. If this losing streak were, to continue, or sporadic play were to continue, then you might change your mind that you had, say, 2 weeks ago when they had just won 5 straight, 3 on the road, and beat some good teams. So what you're saying, I say wait and see. I know it's kind of a little bit of a lame answer, but I think you need to wait and see what you have in front of you on March 1st. That sort of like guides the ship.
How many games do we have in February? I know we're on a break right now.
Let's just look that up.
It's not a jam-packed schedule. 10 games before the deadline?
10. I looked it up last night.
All right, Brad, we got to go to a break in a second, but I wanted to ask you this and get in before the break. I don't know what you guys think about this, but there's nobody that's untouchable. Wayne Gretzky on August 9th, 1988 got traded in his prime, the greatest player that ever lived, obviously for reasons other than hockey's. But I don't believe untouchable is a word. It's just untouchable is saying I'm afraid I'm going to say yes, and I'm afraid of using my brain. Anybody can call with whatever offer they make. You then can say no. But there are players that are more touchable than others. Do the Flyers have anybody who you would really not look to trade pretty much no matter what, unless you got blown away by an offer you can't refuse, Brad?
Well, I think the 2 players that Wayne just talked about, your big surprises this year, are untouchable. But we got a ton is a little exaggeration, but we have a stable of young players.
Travis connecting,
and I think some of those young players were stymied in the previous regime, and they're just now coming up, getting their stride, living up to their draft potential. So I think, and I'm not up on all the names and the ages and all that kind of stuff, but I think there's a number of young players that are untouchable, if we can put that word on it, but there's a number of young players that I don't think Danny has any interest in trading just yet.
All right, we'll come back and talk about a few of those guys. I also have a question for these guys that didn't think about really until recently, but did, and you'll understand what that means when we roll around back again on the Independence Blue Cross on the ice from Chickies and Pete's in Audubon. Lots of TVs on, lots of people here, lots of excitement, lots of energy. Always good at Chickies and Pete's. You love the food, have some crab fries. We all are here at Chickies and Pete's in Audubon. We're on the ice. Returns right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's, your home away from home for the pro football playoffs. Nobody does playoff watch parties better than Chickies and Pete's. Come for the best in-game experience and join the best fans in the world for the playoffs. Enjoy all your Chickie and Pete's game day favorites with daily ice-cold draft beer specials and our seasonal cocktails. Plus the unbeatable combination of playoff football and Chickie and Pete's world-famous crab fries. It's game time, only at Chickies and Pete's.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is the true retreat from the everyday. With locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City, Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com. A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Brad Marsh.
Brad Marsh, initials BM, whose nickname last in his career was LM for load management. Brad liked to take as much vacation as he could during the season. We had a little problem with Joel Embiid last night in Golden State, Brad, and it was in some ways related to load management, which in your mind is a four-letter word in the sport of hockey, correct?
Stupid.
Because?
I don't understand it, and I'm coming at it from, I guess, an old player's standpoint where you want to play, you want to be the one. If you're the leader of the team, you want to be, and you got to be, in my case, on the ice. But I often look at that from a fan standpoint. You pay big; they don't give you a break in your season tickets or your game day ticket. And if you've bought a ticket and you've paid big bucks, and the Lakers are coming in and they sit out LeBron James.
Yep.
Like, to me, if LeBron James isn't playing, the ticket should be half price. And so I just don't understand. It's not fair to the fans. And like I said, I don't understand the reason. If you're a professional athlete, get in shape so you can play 80 games a year.
Wayne, why don't we ever see load? I mean, we see it in basketball all the time. Obviously, you can get injured playing darts and at home. Why don't we see load management in hockey?
I think because hockey players are a different breed. A lot of them now it's about 50-50 with Canada versus the world. I mean, the United States and Europe and Russia. But in the old days, and the Flyers can attest to this, there was that 75 team, the 75 Cup team was the last all-Canadian team. And I know I'm going back 50 years, but the point being that hockey players grew up on farms in small towns in Canada with a different kind of work ethic, a different kind of ethos in their DNA. And that's where this idea of take a night off, why would we take a night off? We're getting paid and we're not hurt. Why would we take a night off? So, I mean, and careers, the average NHL career is only 4 years. So you better make hay while the sun shines, to use an old cliche. And so that's why I don't think you see the same kind of thing versus the NBA.
See, the thing in hockey, too, and I don't understand why the other sports don't have it, and maybe they do and miss it. They have it in baseball somewhat because they have AAA and AA. But in football and basketball, there's no feeder system.
Right.
So, like in hockey, the old rule of
basketball there is now, the G League. But football, no.
the Sixers, do they own a team in the G League?
Yep.
Okay.
Delaware Blue Coats.
I don't follow basketball.
Yep.
Anyhow, like in hockey, the old rule of thumb is you never gave up your ice time because there was someone there just chomping at the bit to take it. And so if you took the night off or you sat out or you faked an injury, they'll fill you in with somebody else.
Yep.
And pretty soon, you're on the outside looking in. You've lost your power play time. You've lost your penalty killing time, and you're sitting at the end of the bench.
All right. Interesting that you said that. Guys want to play, and guys run into problems in their career. And Wayne, you hooked up with one of them who had many problems during his career, which you can read about in your book, Road to Redemption, about the career of Chris Terry, and we call him Bundy. How's that book doing? How can somebody get it if they want to? And what was that like writing it? I know you got a copy right here.
Yeah. It's been out now for a little over a year, and I don't have the exact number of books that have been sold, but what I'm told is that every time Chris goes out to do like some kind of a signing or an announcement type thing, people come up to him, and he's charging them twice the price of the book and giving the difference to charity. So
nice.
That's the kind of guy that he is.
He's Robin Hood, huh?
I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But what I'm getting at is that he's hearing from more from recovery people, from people online, of guys who say I was an alcoholic for 10 years,
wow.
And then and I'm paraphrasing this again, but I read the book and it was informative and it reinforces my will to want to go out and get myself fixed, get myself better. And so we thought, well, if just one person gets in touch with us, that would be great. But Chris has been getting all sorts of contacts on that. And to that, I tip my hat that, again, I was amazed at how open he was and how self-effacing he was in his conversations. That he would send me tapes. That's how we wrote the book, that he would sit down and basically do a 10-minute tape, and there was no one else in the room. He just bared his soul, and then I'm the first one to hear this, and I was just amazed at how open and honest he was.
All right, Brad, we got about 2-3 minutes left. A question that, again, I don't want to be asking, but you talk about Chuck Fletcher, who had his hands tied. Danny Briere's got his hands tied in some ways also. He's got a first-year team, and he has a goalie that's in a little bit of trouble. Do you think there's a chance? People say, well, Sam Erson's stepping up. Is he a true number one? Do you think basically that if Danny had wanted to earlier in the year, if he got an offer, or now, was Carter Hart kind of untradeable because of his situation? Because the whole NHL knew about it. Did it do something to Danny's availability to make moves?
Yeah, I don't think there's any NHL team that was going to they would have loved to have Carter Hart, but no one was going to make a deal for him because everyone's knowing that this was going to happen for quite some time now. And the thing is hey, Danny's first deal turned out to be pretty darn good. And so it's not like a GM's calling him up and thinking, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this rookie GM, this young GM, because he came out smelling pretty good, smelling like a rose in that first deal. And so he's not going to be taking it. And I think that's hard now because you just don't make a deal with one person. There's a whole team that works on making a deal. The capologists, the scouts, and what do we have 2 or 3 assistant GMs now?
Yep.
So they all contribute to that decision. Back in the days, it was just one guy calling one GM, and it was easy to hoodwink him. Keith the Thief.
We got to roll now. I wish we had more time. Wish we had hours and hours and hours. Wayne Fish, you've been a great guest. Where can people get the Chris Terrian book, and where can they pre-order the Brian Propp book?
Yes, you can go walk into a Barnes & Noble and get it right there that day, or you can contact Amazon.com, and you probably, if you order it, and you probably can get it the next day.
What about your website?
Oh, yeah. Playingfishhockey.com. That will direct you to that.
All right. Well, you've been a great guest. Thanks for being here. We'd love to have you again next year, and continued success in all your endeavors. We didn't get a chance to talk about Saratoga or running. You're the fastest 74-year-old on earth. Keep going, and congratulations.
Thank you, Paul, for having me.
All right, Brad, we had a great time tonight. Hopefully the Flyers next week will start winning again. Then we'll have gotten into their second half, and let's rock and roll. We'll be at Drexel Hill with Frank Bialowas. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, sir. Look forward to it.
Yeah, congratulations for a perfect alumni weekend. You deserve all the plaudits in the world. Chris Hermer produced this fine program. Gus Barber back at the station. Thank you. Thanks to everybody who came out to Chickies and Pete's in Audubon to watch On the Ice this week. We'll be back again next week in Drexel with Frank Bialowas. For Brad Marsh and Wayne Fish, I'm Paul Jolovitz for Independence Blue Cross On the Ice, saying have a great week and go Flyers.
You've been listening to On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB and heard around the world at WBCB1490.com.